Hello, everyone. I'm Shelby Tuck Horton, Vice President for Education. I'm trying to do three things at one time. So forgive me, eyes are all over the place. But I am really excited to have Desireé Dent join us today. She is a wedding industry speaker, and I'm just glad she could fit us into her calendar for today. She has a lot of great nuggets and information to share with you. So I am going to be quiet. I'm going to let Desireé tell you all about herself. She does a better job at introducing herself than I can. So I just want you all to take out your notebooks and take all the notes because she is and has a wealth of information. So I present to you Desireé Dent.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much, Shelby, for having me on here this Wednesday morning for me. I'm in Chicago, afternoon for some of you on the East Coast there. So, thank you all for taking this time to be on this webinar. Just a little bit about myself. I'm not going to go into it. I'm Desireé, as Shelby has said. I've been a wedding event planner now for the last 25 plus years. My planning company is called Dejanae Events. I have a team that actually runs Dejanae events now. I show up for some of the weddings, but my truest love now and my passion lies with Marry Me Ceremonies, which I have been an officiant with this company that I started 5 years ago due to the pandemic. So yeah, had to still work. Daughter was going to college, had to bring in some income. In addition to that, I am educator with Wedding Pro, as well as I speak nationally, and I have my own educational resources called Wedology Toolkit. So that's it in brief. Oh, and I'm the mom of Deja, who is my heart, and I am also a daddy's girl. I will always give a shout out to my dad. So let's go ahead and get started. Turning conversations into contracts. When I am out speaking, my biggest passion lies with speaking about business planning and business development because I am a true person who believes that we need to have the foundational elements when we are moving forward in these businesses. Rather, you are just now creating, coming into this industry, if you've been in this industry for some time, or you are now thinking about shifting and moving into another arena, we always need to make sure we have the foundational elements together when it comes to our businesses. And so this afternoon slash morning, I'm going to talk about the process of moving from the conversation to the contract. I'm not taking you into how to get the contract. I'm taking you to the point of hopefully they will sign you or book your company as they should because you just did so well during the discovery and consultation phase. Uh-oh. I think, let me see there we go. Okay. So I always like to start off with a quote. The first step towards earning trust and building relationships is understanding. Every great partnership begins with a meaningful conversation. I have to say that over the last 25 years in business, I have made some changes. First and foremost, I have now lived through two recessions, and I do feel we are now in the third one in this industry. So let's say I've lived through three recessions. I have also lived through the pandemic, and my business slash businesses are still thriving. But one thing that I have noticed, because I am always tinkering around inside of my business, is that from the inception of Dejanae Events to where we are now, the consultation, the discovery phase hasn't really changed. Has it evolved and met where the client is now? Yes. But the process itself has pretty much remained the same. I feel that, if you have it in tune, that you really understand how to gather information, utilize that information that you've gathered, you are going to be led down the road to creating and drafting that contract for that particular client or that potential client. I keep hitting the wrong button. I always also like to start off to make sure that we're on the same page. So I want to give out two definitions to make sure that we understand where I'm going to be going with this presentation. The first one is discovery. These definitions that I am sharing are definitions that I've created. They are not in Webster's dictionary. Okay, this is how I look at it from our standpoint of being creatives. Discovery refers to the initial interaction or conversation between the planner and potential client. So, how did they come to you? Was it a text message? Was it a DM? Did they fill out your form? How were you discovered by this client? And what is that initial interaction like? This area of discovery is very, very important when it comes to gathering key information. I always believe, and I stand by this, that the time in which you are going to gather the most information from a potential client is during discovery and consultation. This is when they vomit at the mouth. That's what I like to call it. This is when they have all of that information inside and they're like, hey, I need to give it to somebody who wants to listen because my family's tired of hearing about it. My fiance or my partner's tired of hearing about it. And now I have this professional who's truly excited about potentially working with me and now just want to give them everything. This gathering of information, you're going to learn about vision, you're going to learn about their preferences, what their needs are, but you're also going to be establishing trust. The goal of this process is to determine if you align with this potential customer. Now, listen, I completely understand. We can probably stay on here all afternoon talking about where we are in these businesses in 2025 and how the calls are not as prevalent or as I'm not as popular as I thought I was because my phone's not ringing off the hook, or my discovery form is not being filled out, or I'm talking to industry peers in my networking at networking events, and they're saying the same things. Everything is slow. I get it. I get it. I completely get it because it's slow here. But I have to determine if this person who has reached out to me is going to align with my business. I am not taking on any and everybody just to make a dollar. I'm going to come back to that one because it's something that you have to think about. See if they align. And then is it a good fit? Are those red flags, those triggers that you are learning about this potential customer, are they going to be something that you're going to regret later on down the line should you decide that you want to work with them and you didn't really discover if they were a good fit? And the same for them as well. The next definition I want to share is consultation. This is the more in-depth meeting after the discovery phase. So when I speak about discovery phase, as I shared, could happen via a phone call, text message, DMs, video. It could happen through all of them. But now we are diving more into that in-depth meeting where now me as the planner, I get to take a deeper dive. I get to share more details about my business and learn more about them as a couple, as well as what they're looking for regarding their celebration. This will help me solidify the client's vision, showcase my expertise. Why should they hire the DE team? Why should they hire you? What makes me stand out above someone else who's doing the same exact thing in this area, Chicagoland area here? And I get to provide tailored recommendations and solutions. That is something that we must not forget. They brought us through discovery. We're now at consultation and we're at the conclusion. So what does that look like? How do we bring this all home to show that we are a person that they should hire? And then also this consultation serves as a pivotal moment for the client to decide if they would like to book your services or if they want to receive that proposal should you be a planner who does more distinct work. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's building some trust and converting these leads because I have to believe you all are still getting leads. Maybe not at the same pace in which you are used to, but we need to work with what we have right now so that we can continue to grow into the future. So, understanding the potential client's needs is very important. First and foremost, you need to know the answers to the questions before they are asked. Well, Desireé, what do you mean by that? Well, I would say, you need to be able to answer those questions. Where do you find those questions? Well, The internet is a plethora of information. And trust and believe that when a potential client is coming to you, they have done some homework on you, they have done some research, and they are coming to you with a ton of questions to ask you. You need to unarm them before those questions are asked. How do you find out this information? Well, check TikTok. How about it? If you're not on TikTok, that's okay. You don't have to have a TikTok page, but TikTok is almost just as popular, if not as popular, as YouTube University. Here you have a ton of people who are giving potential clients information, questions that need to be asked when they are hiring a planner, or invitation designer, or a cake designer. Also, check out blogs and podcasts. Learn about the questions so that you can build those answers into your marketing materials. Put the answers on your website. Put the answers within your digital materials, on your social media, all of those things. And when I speak about the answers, well, the questions are, how long have you been in business? Do you carry insurance? Do you have a team? Well, how do you dress on wedding day? All of these questions that they are coming to you with can actually be answered based on how you have branded your business, how you have put together and established your business. You ask, what does a DE team wear on wedding day? Well, if you go to my website, you can see us in photographs on wedding day. How many years have you been in business? Well, you check my biography. What type of clients and budgets do you work with? You look on my social media. You need to be able to answer those questions before they are asked. And also understand that discovery is essential to understanding the client's vision, their budget, and their expectations. Does their vision align with what I am able to produce as a planner? Does that budget match with the types of clients that I work with? What are their expectations? What are they looking for me to do as a planner, as a director, as a manager, as a coordinator? What are they expecting from me to do? You need to make sure that that type of information is out there and prevalent so that they can decide if they want to reach out to you or if they're going to seek out someone else. And this is the beginning of the journey, the discovery phase, because this is where you're going to begin writing. If you're not a writer, you might decide to type, voice record, save all of that information that you gather from that potential client. As I shared, this is when they are green. This is when they are excited about sharing information, and making sure you capture that information properly is going to be very important, because trust and believe you are going to use this information later on down the line once they hire you. So let's set the tone. Well, creating a welcome and professional first impression is key. So, how you carry yourself, I'm not going to stay here long, but how you appear on social media is very, very important. Okay. If you're not appearing professional, you're mixing your personal life with your professional life, that's great. That's completely up to you. But I like to keep them both separate. Okay. Everyone doesn't need to know what I'm doing on the weekend when I'm not working. Just know I'm not working. You don't need to know where I'm at, because that's my personal life. I'm not sharing that with you. I want to make sure that I am professional at all times on all the platforms that I appear on. Okay. Also, for my materials and the way I respond in email. Anyone on here knows me. I am happy whatever day of the week it is. That has been my thing forever. Shelby can attest to that. I will send her text messages. Hey, Shelby, happy, what's today? Wednesday. Yes. Happy Wednesday. Tomorrow I'll send her a message. Hey, Shelby, happy Thursday. That is me. I am welcoming. I like to be upbeat. I like to be excited about life, even if some negative things are going on in my life. First impressions are key. And understand the importance of actively listening. A lot of us, because we are, and I air quoted, experts in our field, love to talk. We just like to talk, 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 talk. That can be a negative when you have someone who is discovering if they want to work with you, discovering if they want to hire your team, discovering if they want to hire your company. We have two of these specifically so that we can listen, and one of these so that we can speak when we need to. Okay. It also will establish a rapport, which is very, very important during the discovery phase. So, should you receive discovery? And when I speak about discovery, a person may come to you, or partners or a couple may come to you via email. That is personally my preference. I love when people email me, and when they come to me via email, most likely they have filled out my form on my website, or could have been potentially referred to me from a past client and the client just passed along my email address. Well, you need to acknowledge the email very quickly. I have on here 1 to 2 hours. Can you remember the days? I might be dating myself when they used to tell us, oh, just respond within 24 hours. And then it dropped down, respond to within 12 hours. Well, guess what, y'all? It's even smaller window, 1 to 2 hours. And even if you cannot give them everything about your business, your PDFs or your digital materials, whatever that is that you put in your emails about you, at least respond. Let them know that, hey, I am driving or I am away from my office right now. I did receive your message and I look forward to speaking to you. Please look out for some information from this email address within the next couple hours. This is still letting them know that you received their message and that you are interested in learning more about their business. Leaving inquiries on cold, on red, it's not the way to go. Because let me tell y'all, I'm gonna be honest here. Can I tell y'all something? You're not the only person they're reaching out to. Okay. And I know we are great, but you are not the only person they're reaching out to. I'm gonna move back here now. All right. So personalization becomes very important as well. If they filled out your form, mention the wedding date, the venue, whatever you are capturing on their form. Be specific. Couples love to know that the planners that they are working with are detailed. And structure your response with a thank you, brief introduction about your services. You don't need to give them a dissertation. Remember, they've already done some research on you. They've checked out your social media. They've read your website, maybe not page by page, but I trust and believe me, they have checked you out, okay? And then give them an invitation to set up a call or a way that they should communicate with you. I'm old school here, okay? So I'm going to take you the old school route. I personally separate discovery and consultation. That is just how I work. I know my couples intimately. I know my potential client intimately. I have done the research. So I understand that the person's coming to me. I'm going to gather some key information, cases via email, and then I'm going to move them to the discovery phase. Let's set up a quick call. If they don't want to do that, we might talk a little bit in the DMs, but at some point I'm going to get you on the phone, or we're going to set up a video, because as much automation that is out here in the world, and I appreciate all the automation, believe me when I say that, for the price that I am requesting, they want to hear a voice. They want to see a face. If they are paying thousands on thousands on thousands of dollars for you, at some point, automation has to stop and you have to open your mouth and you have to speak with them. You have to show your face. There are so many scammers out here right now that you want to make sure that you're not put into that bucket because you're just doing everything via automation. Do not leave here saying Desireé said don't do automation, because Desireé didn't say that. Okay. What I am saying is at some point you're going to have to get on the phone or you're going to have to set up a video. And make sure that there's a clear call to action. Provide a scheduling link or some dates and times in which they can go to the next steps, whether that's a call or whatever that process looks like for you. The days of sending an email with your dates that they can select and the times in which they could select, that's too much work for them. Okay. They don't want to do that. They want to click a link, they want to pick the date and time that works, and then they will receive an automated response. I'll see you on such and such date. Make it easier for them. That is what they are looking for. But should you receive discovery via text or DM? I know that the younger generation, yes, those Gen Zs that we're working with right now, they love to text and DM. Desireé does not like to text and DM, but has Desireé graduated to understanding the importance of texting and DMing? Yes, I have. Still, however you decide to speak with them, you still need to be concise, friendly, and professional with whatever language you decide to use. Okay. You don't want to talk in slang and, how you talk naturally. You still want to remain professional. Just because it's a text or just because it's a DM does not mean it's any less important. And respond quickly. Actually, I'm not going to even give you the 1 to 2 hour response, because texts and DMs, they come like a cycle. Very, very quickly. Respond promptly. Give yourself 5 minutes, 10 at the max to respond, because once I said it, you are not the only person that they are reaching out to. So responsiveness is going to be key. From here, I like to transition them into email or potentially having a conversation. The reason being for me personally is that I cannot keep up with text messages and DMs. It's just a bit challenging. I'm not about to do a bunch of screenshots as I develop your file and develop the information and put them and plug them in. At some point, I need to get you into email so that I can capture the more information, or let's go ahead and set up a brief call. So I have here, I'd love to hear more about your vision. Can I send you an email with some details and the next steps? I have found that this works when I talk to them very briefly in text and DM and then move them or transition them to the next phase in which I want them to go to. But always take that key information down. Make sure you know their names. If you're talking with them via text or DMs in particular, a lot of the times the handles that they use are not their names. So you want to make sure that you know the couple's names. What is their wedding date? All right. Have they selected a venue? I'm a big person that wants to know venues because here in my area there are some venues I choose not to work with. So I like to know the venues in advance whenever possible. Okay. So again, that's information that I choose to gather. But now we're going to structure this discovery call. And I have call in air quotes because, again, you may not get on a call. You may do a lot more in the DMs or sending emails. However, you are gathering this information, that is fine. But make sure you introduce yourself briefly and your business briefly. And ask open ended questions about the couple's visions and expectations. Allow them to talk to you, allow them to type this information out and discuss and find out their preferred level of service. On most of our websites, I won't say all, we have a list of collections or services or offerings that we are have out there that we can give to couples. They've looked through that. They have a little bit, a slight bit of understanding of what you're offering. Here is where you can share with you and share with them preferred information. Hey, if you're interested in our direction and management, this is what we can do. Or based on what I'm hearing from you during this call or during this message thread that we have going on, is that you need a little bit more from the planning perspective because you are XYZ, a doctor or an attorney. This is what I can offer. Identify also those pain points or those concerns. What are those red flags? What sticks out to you that could potentially be a problem, not only for you, but for them? And manage the time effectively. If you are going to, and if you currently are merging discovery and consultation, I'll explain that in just a few. If you're merging discovery and consultation together, keep the discovery as brief as possible. Our couples, our potential clients are busy. All right. Many of them are not working just one job, they're working several to maintain and to pay for this wedding, or they have really fast paced careers. So you want to make sure that you manage the time effectively. I am a person who is not going to be DMing you and texting you all day. It's just not going to happen. I don't have time for it. And I don't like to be on my phone that much. Okay. I like to do other things in life, like work in my business or go outside and have lunch and enjoy the day. So I'm not going to be DMing and texting you all day. I am a person who keeps office hours. If we are talking, if we are speaking, it's going to happen within those office hours, within that time frame. And I am a person who believes that I am not getting paid for discovery or the consultation. And so I need to make sure that the money that I am, quote unquote, not making during this time makes sense. That is why I like to keep the discovery phase as quick as possible. So if you are having these types of conversations, try to limit it to 15 to 20 minutes. I would not take it over that. If you can make it shorter than that, that's even better. Because again, you're asking quick, rapid questions. You're learning about them as quickly as possible, but you're not spending a lot of time in this phase. So preparing for the discovery phase. Well, just like they did research on you, you need to do research on them. Find out if they're real. Find out if they're real or if they're just shopping to learn about your business so they can go ahead and open up their own planning company. Yes, I get shopped a lot, so I had to mention that. Do your research on the couple. Check out their social media. Check out their wedding websites. I didn't even put it on here, but go to their LinkedIn. Learn about them as individuals. Also, whatever you can learn about them as a couple to decide, just learning from some things that you may see on their social media might not align with your faith or with your business goals. So this might not be the client for you. And it's very important that you have some type of checklist for the discovery call for the consultation phase. Checklist meaning what's listed. It could be a printed out piece of paper with boxes that you check off. It could be a digital footprint that you've already created for your business. But there has to be a way for you to say, hey, I was able to share this information with them. I gathered this information from them. I shared this back to them on this particular day. You want to have some type of list. Planners, we like lists. So having another one is not going to hurt you. Or we like digital materials. Having another one is not going to hurt you. That's why CRMs become really, really important. And I'll talk about those towards the end of the presentation. But having a list to make sure that you captured what you needed is going to be very, very, very important as you move into the consultation phase. Knowing the right questions to ask. So there are some key questions that we're going to ask during this period, during this time, during this phase. What's your vision? What is your style? I am big on asking budget. I know couples, well, not couples, I know educators say, do not ask a couple's budget up front. Why? Why? That's easy for me. I need to know what your budget is so that we can determine if the DE team, for one, is going to be a good fit for you. But then I get that question, well, you know what? A lot of them don't know their budget. They know the range that they want to spend. I'm a big person in saying, hey, what is your budget? And then I'll get that response, oh my God, we haven't had the conversation about budgets. I'm not really sure. Okay, well, is $70,000 too much? Well, right there, they'll say, oh my goodness, that's a lot. Or you know what? Maybe we're probably thinking about spending a little bit more. So they have had the discussion. They just haven't honed in directly on what they want to spend, but it at least gives you an idea if this is going to be if this couple is going to be a good fit for your business. And then understand their preferences. What I mean by preferences is a way of communicating. I am a business owner. Okay. And so I like to communicate with my clients a certain way. If you do not set boundaries with them up front, they are going to be, for one, messaging you all times of night. And if you don't respond, they're agitated. If you do not set boundaries up front with how you want to be spoken with, if that's via text message, if that's via email, if that's entering information in their CRM that you share with them, you need to make sure that you establish preferences up front. And then dig deeper into the why for their celebration. Why are they having this wedding or this wedding weekend? What is this all about for them? Is this about them showcasing how much money they have? Or is this about being with their family? Is this about eating good food? Is this about showing them around the city in which you were born and raised? Why are they having this celebration on this level? I have to share this quick story, and this literally just happened this weekend. I was speaking with a planner friend of mine, and her couple was all about the experience. And that's what I've discovered over the last several years, that couples aren't just thinking about, the floral and the decor. They want to think about, they also are thinking about the experience that the guests are going to be having during their wedding day, during their weekend. And so for my planner friend, she had a bride who literally wanted to share this day. Her and her fiance wanted to share this day with her grandparents who had been married for about 62 years at that point. And the bride herself wore her grandmother's gown. Her grandmother had no idea. So she wore the gown from 62 years ago. She had went back to Italy, got it tailored. They shipped the dress here. She put on the gown and it was going to have this big reveal with her grandmother. Still just as exciting when I think about this. She was going to have a big reveal with her grandmother and even bringing the family in and involving them through this process to surprise her grandmother and her grandfather. And then during the reception, they wanted to not just make it about them. They wanted to make sure that her grandparents danced on the first song that they danced to 62 years ago because their anniversaries are now going to be very close. So it wasn't just about the wedding and all of the beauty that was in the room. It was about the experience that the guests were going to feel in witnessing her grandparents share that dance and witnessing seeing the bride take on such a sentimental moment in her grandmother's gown. So again, why are they having this day to this magnitude? Discover that. It's very important because the way you assist them in planning is going to be taken from a lot of those notes and that information that you take early on in this process. Active listening and reading between the lines. Listen, as I shared, two of these. We need to actively listen. We need to be present, okay? This is if you're on a call, if you're on a video, even if you are typing your little fingers away, it is okay. Be present and respond appropriately. If you are hearing in their tone or discovering from something that they have sent you that they need some encouragement, feel free to do that. But do not disclose your opinions up front. They're not your client yet. Okay, so for you sharing, well, I really don't like weddings at this location, or, I'm thinking that color isn't really going to work out for your time of year. They didn't ask you for your opinion at that point. They haven't signed on the dotted line. They haven't given you that non-refundable retainer yet. So kind of pull back on disclosing your opinion so early on, because again, you want to make sure you are establishing rapport with them, and pick up on those unspoken cues, that those emotions, that practical information that you're going to need from them. And when I speak about emotions, how excited are they when they're talking to you about their wedding day? How often do they mention other people? Because all of that noise, that chatter in the background could be a bit aggravating to the couple, and you're going to have to help them manage that should they decide to hire you. So pick up on those unspoken cues, the way they look at each other, or anything that is nonverbal. Make sure you pick up on that. Write little notes about that. And then spot the potential red flags. Listen, if you're feeling in your gut that this isn't a good feel, a good mesh, you're not gonna mesh well together, don't do it. Take it from me. I'll be open, I'll be transparent. Anytime I have taken a couple, signed a contract with a couple specifically because I wanted the money. I said it specifically because I wanted the money. I needed the contract. I probably need to pay my mortgage or something. I don't know what it was. But anytime I took a couple specifically for money, it has been the worst experience for me. I can wholeheartedly say that. If I don't take on a couple because I like them, or because I'm excited about working with them, being at this venue, working with these vendors, getting to know them and their families, et cetera, et cetera. If I'm taking them specifically for a financial gain, in most cases, it doesn't work out because I didn't see, or I saw them. I ignored the red flags because I was trying to gain financially. So you have to make sure that you listen to your intuition and understand those red flags to determine if this is somewhere you want to go later on down the line. And when I say somewhere you want to go, moving into signing the contract. And this will also determine if this phase here will also determine if you're a right fit for one another. Do you all speak the same language? Does the way they're speaking to you, their tone and their movements, does it match well, or do you think it's going to match well with you and your team? Figure out if you all will align properly, because if you will not, if you're not going to be able to work together, you might need to share this and share their information with a planner friend of yours that is in the industry that you feel would align better. And I say that, yeah. If I can't take on a couple, I don't just say, oh, okay, well, thank you. It was great. I had a nice time. I would say, hey, I am not going to be available on this day, or I'm unavailable on this day. Please check out such and such. This is a person, a referral that I think would work great for you. I'm not I'm not a person who's trying to gather and keep all of the information for myself. I only feel that I'm going to be blessed when I can bless others. Okay. So that is why I decide if it's a good fit for the DE team. If it's not, I have no problem on giving referrals. And now we transition from discovery to the consultation. As I shared, this all can happen in one phase. Me personally, I like to break it up into two. Reason being is because a lot of the discovery is captured via email, sometimes text, sometimes DMs, or we might have a quick call. The consultation phase is going to be a little longer. But moving from discovery to consultation, you want to make sure that you recap whatever you have learned about them. Specifics like the wedding date, making sure you know the person's names. Yeah, that's a killer when you call a groom the wrong person, or you call the bride the wrong person. Yeah, make sure you gathered all the information, you have it listed or noted somewhere properly, and share that information once again, their venue, their budget. So do a recap and introduce now the idea of a consultation and what its purpose is. It's a deeper dive, as I shared with you earlier on with the definition. introduce this idea in which now we can have a more in-depth conversation. You can learn more about Dejanae events. And from you, you can share even more information with me because now I want to be on the phone with you. Me personally, my consultations happen via video. So I love to have that quote unquote face-to-face connection with couples. Since COVID has been very rare that I have had in-person consultations, but I am more than willing to take them should a person decide that is the route they want to go. I have a co-working space, so we would handle that there. And then share how to schedule the consultation with ease. Send them a link that they, like I said, that they can click and they can move right on into signing up for a date that is available not only to them, but also to you. So, presenting your collections confidently. We're now in the consultation phase. This is where you get to shine. All right. We've gathered a lot of information about them. They've shared and shared and shared. And now it's time for us to shine. We have to shine so that they can go to the next phase, which is hopefully a proposal. If it's not a proposal, it's directly on to the contract. So highlight your expertise, your experience, your unique offerings. All right. How long have you been doing this in the industry? What are the organizations that you are a member of? Are you a speaker? Have you created any literature, or do you have a blog or anything that they can learn more about the industry, learn more about wedding planning, learn more about you? What are your experiences? How many weddings do you do within a particular year? All right. How many are on your team? What are you experienced with this type of wedding versus another type of wedding? And what are those unique offerings that you have within your business? Use testimonials. If you don't have a lot of testimonials, use case studies to showcase past successes. Let's not talk about the negatives. Okay. I have a whole YouTube channel called The Wedding Tea for the negatives. I don't talk about those. I don't talk about those during my consultation. I just say, you want to hear some craziness about the wedding industry, go to the wedding tea. But when we're on the consultation, again, I am remaining professional. I am sharing testimonials or sharing a link with them in which they can also find out more or receive more testimonials about my business. Emphasize the benefits of hiring you versus trying to do it alone. I'm not on here to say don't hire somebody else or hire you. You don't necessarily have to hire the DE team, but what I will say, it's going to be a lot easier if you decide hire the DE team because we do this, and that versus if you were to go it alone. Who is going to handle this for you? Who is going to do this for you? Blah, 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 blah. Show them why they need to hire a professional such as your company or such as your team and what makes you different. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna lean in again. A lot of us are doing the same thing. Mhm. Yeah, a lot of us are doing the same thing. And what do I mean by that? We're planners, okay? There's only so many services on the planet that we're going to offer and that we're going to be great at. And trust and believe, Dejanae Events is not the only planning company here in the Chicagoland area. I am not. There's about 500 million of us here in Chicago. I don't know about your area, but there's a whole heck of a lot of us here. And many of us are doing the same thing. But what makes the DE team unique? What makes Desireé unique above those other planners that are out here? Because, like I said, many of us are doing the same things. It's how you collect and how you package those offerings and those services that make you unique. For me, I love to be out in talking and sharing the wealth of knowledge that I have gained over these last 25 years. I have to say, there might be a lot of planners in the Chicagoland area, but there aren't a lot of planners that have been doing it this long. So that for me is what makes me different. One of the top things that makes me and my team different in this industry. So figure that out. Figure out what that is for you that makes you stand out above those in your industry. The next two slides I am sharing is literally my consultation process from start to finish. I am sharing this because I am not a person who just keeps all the information to myself. I am a person who wants us all to grow. And so my consultation Literally lasts anywhere from 45 minutes to 1 hour. I don't go above that because the discovery for me is about 15 minutes of information gathering on whatever platforms that may look like. Then the other 45 minutes goes into the consultation. All right. Whether you group it all together or whether you separate it into different components, I try to keep everything packaged into 1 hour. I can give up 1 hour of pay. I don't want to give up much more than that. So those first top 5 to 10 minutes is where you have the introduction, you build rapport, you introduce yourself warmly and professionally. You're like, yeah, they already know me, but guess what? They're gonna learn a little bit more about me now because I shared this information with them. Maybe I have some more or some different information that I want to share with them during this time. Review the information that you have collected with them from the discovery phase. All right. And also gather any more information should they have done some things from the time in which you spoke with them last. So, again, you're writing, you are capturing additional information. And this is where I love to share my portfolio. Establishes credibility and also may inspire some ideas from them. My portfolio is literally a Canva document, a Canva presentation that I put together of different images at different venues that I love working at. It shows weddings that are within the budgets of the clients that I like to work with. It shows color palettes, all those various things. This is one presentation. I look it over every few months as I get new photographs. I change it up. And then literally that is a presentation that I share with each and every potential client. All right. The next 10 to 15 minutes is exploring their vision. Again, this is when they get to vomit with you in person. And I put in person in air quotes. Ask open ended questions. What are the top priorities? What are those top three things that are very, very important to you when it comes to this wedding planning process? Here, while they are sharing all of this information with you, while they are showing you their phone or taking you to their Pinterest board, actively listen and take precise and detailed notes. As I shared with you, you're going to be looking at these notes later on down the line. Trust and believe me when I say this, you're going to be looking at these notes later on down the line once they sign that contract with you. And provide tips, insights. I've heard this time and time again. Why would I give a potential customer any of my information or share information with them or give them tips? I mean, they haven't booked me yet. Why am I giving out free information? Because free information can get you to the booking. Now, what do I mean about free information? Well, I'm not saying plan their wedding during the consultation. What I am saying is give them a few little tips. Share with them a blog post that they can read. Maybe it's from your website. Share with them a podcast that they can listen to or a YouTube channel that they can go to or an ebook that they could purchase. This type of information can be shared with any and everybody you have the consultation with. It does not necessarily have to be specific to the couple. It needs to be specific to your business and the types of weddings that you work with. Everybody wants to know how their budget is going to fit, how they're going to be able to break down their budget. If you go to my blog right now, I literally have budgets broken down from $10,000 to $100,000. Literally, I can give them that blog link. That was something I wrote months ago. Did I have to not did I want to keep that information to myself? Well, yeah, I could. But why not give them this little bit of information to show them that I'm an expert in this field, to show them that I am educated in this field and that I want to help them and that we can break this budget down so that it works within your financial means. So again, share some tips and some insights that will align with their vision. In the next 20 to 25 minutes is presenting your collections. I like to say collections, some of us will say services. Either way, showcase your services and explain them in detail. If you do not have this by now, I suggest that you do it. If you do not know every service you offer intimately, line by line and price by price, that's a problem because a lot of us in this industry are still just pulling a number out the sky, putting a few services together and saying this is how much it's going to cost. Figure out how many hours it takes you to do something. How many hours does it take you to write a timeline? How many hours does it take you to perform wedding rehearsal? How many hours does it take you to do budget research, vendor research? How many hours does it take you to put together a design board or a Pinterest board if that's what you choose to use? How many hours does it take you to do that? And then package that. Put that information, those services into a collection with a price point that makes sense for your business. All of us in this industry, and I can attest to it. I did it very early on in my career. I pulled a number out the sky and said, this number sounds good, they'll pay for this. But now I want to work smarter, not harder. So you want to make sure that those services, you are able to explain them in detail, because if they hone in on one specific service, you want to make sure that you can give it to them and boom, at the drop of a dime. Walk them through your pricing structure. Ensure the transparency. I'm not saying if you write proposals to say, hey, right now this service is going to cost $9,000. What I will say is you can give them a price range based on what I've learned from you. These services here that you're interested in, we're going to range anywhere between $5,000 and $6,000. I can send you over a proposal that will break it down a little bit more detail for you and give you a specific number. But right now, just based on our conversation, you're probably looking at anywhere between $5,000 and $6,000 for these services. Doesn't that sound better than just saying, hey, I'll get back to you? Because at that point in which you get back to them, they're already talking to somebody else. And then make it personalized. Suggest the services that you offer or the collections that you offer that will work best for them. I get it. Everybody wants a full service planning client, a full service planning couple. I understand. They're the ones that bring the top dollar for us, but not everybody needs full service. And for you trying to sell that, you'll lose a sale trying to get more money versus meeting them where they need you. All right. So you got to think about that. If they've shared this information with you during the discovery, if they've given you all of this and you're like, you know what, they've done a lot of things themselves, they probably don't need me for full service. If you have partial planning services within your company, that might be something you offer. Or if they've done everything, or you believe that they have, a lot of family help, a lot of help from their girlfriends or the boyfriends, whatever that may be. Hey, you know what? Wedding direction and management is probably going to be the best fit for you. What do you think about that? Let's have that conversation. And then the last 5 to 10 minutes is Q&A and the next steps. I open the floor for additional questions that they may have. But listen, I know I have won a consultation and I stand tried and true behind this. I know I have won a consultation when I say, hey, do you have any questions? And they say to me, no, I think you've answered everything. Remember I told you to do the research and answer those questions before they're asked? During the discovery and the consultation, I have now unarmed them. So all those questions that they had in the back of their mind, I've answered them. So now they actually heard me, they listened to me, and they were able to process and potentially digest the information that I gave to them. But even with that said, I'm always going to outline what those next steps look like. If it's a couple that I believe needs full service, I'm probably going to put a proposal together for them, all right? Because I want to be a little more detailed in the information that I'm sharing. But then go into, what does that contract signing look like? What's that next phase? What is that non-refundable retainer? How are they going to be receiving that? And then scheduling the welcome meeting or the welcome information that you're going to be sending to them. I let all of my couples know after contract signing, after I've received a non-refundable retainer, you will receive your welcome PDF within 24 hours. I stand by that because I don't want them to think that I just collected this lump sum of money and then I'm not going to talk with them for a time now. I send them the welcome PDF because this is going to help them understand how they will move inside of Honeybook. That is what I use. And then also how we're going to be communicating them, tentative dates for next meetings, etc., etc. All of this was already templated, so now I just need to plug and play as we move forward after the contract signing. So closing out the consultation, discuss the next steps as I had just shared with you, but also provide an incentive for booking. Listen, if you're still saying discount, let's cut it. Stop saying discount. We don't want to cheapen our services. If you are offering a discount, and I don't tell anyone how to run their business, and there's no judgment on this side of the screen, okay? If you are offering a discount, let's just tweak the word and call it a bonus. Call it a bonus, an incentive for booking you promptly or booking you immediately. Me personally, I'm not offering 20% off of my services or off of my collections because I still have to do the same amount of work. But what I will give you, if you sign with the DE team within the next 7 days, you get an additional meeting. Sounds better, doesn't it? Than 20% off, because now I didn't cheapen my brand, I just added value to my brand. And then reinforce your excitement about working with them. I'm so excited about your wedding coming up, and I would love, the DE team would love to be the planners that you work with throughout this process. We look forward to hearing from you in the future. Thank you so very much. And then following up, you need to make sure you follow up effectively. Send a thank you email within 24 hours of the consultation. The days of taking days to reach out to them, that is over. Gen Z is quick, all right? And the people that they are reaching out to are even quicker. So you want to make sure that you respond to them within 24 hours with a thank you and a clear outline of what's coming next. If that's a proposal, if they are interested in contracts, here's what how that process is going to look like, retainer invoice, et cetera, et cetera. And then share some additional resources. You can always regurgitate what you shared with them during the consultation. Remember that blog link or that podcast link, whatever that looks like. This inspires them, and this will also keep them at top of mind because they're like, okay, she heard me. She is interested in my upcoming wedding to the love of my life. And some tools for improving your discovery and consultation process. Use CRM software whenever you possibly can for inquiries and consultations. As I shared, I use Honeybook, but there's Dubsado, there's Owl Planner, there's Planning Pod. There's so many different CRMs that are out there. But if you are at a phase in your business in which you can't afford these because they do happen monthly, you have to pay for them monthly. It is okay to get on my friend ChatGPT. I love ChatGPT. Okay, it's my friend, it's my bestie. Actually, I actually call it friend when I reach out to it every day. This is where you can create templates and create email responses and proposals and just kind of capture them in Word documents or spreadsheets, wherever that is, just until you can get to the level in which you're going to have a CRM. Or if you're completely scared of CRMs, that's okay too. Don't let anybody tell you you have to have one if that is not the move you want to make. But you do have to have responses. And instead of always doing a search on how to search, who did I respond to last, you can always capture that information into a spreadsheet or a Word doc. Have scheduling tools, candidly, free. Have scheduling tools. Like I shared, the day of putting your time availability in an email and sending it to them, and you all going back and forth on a time that works, that's over. Use some type of calendar whenever you can. And then again, research the questions that couples will ask you. This will improve your discovery consultation because when they are answered, the couple is unarmed and they can hear you and learn of your expertise. So, what can you do immediately? Well, for one, you can create. You can create and refine your discovery call script. If you don't have a script, create one. If you don't have one, or if you already have a process, go through it and see if it's working for the current climate that we are in right now. And make sure that you're able to answer those questions that I keep speaking about. And implement an effective follow-up system with templates or automated emails. I understand there are a lot of planners out here who automate all day, and that's fine. I respect them. But at some point, you're going to have to get on a call or a video or see this person face to face. So you want to move them through a process. And then audit your current marketing materials. The answers to those questions, can a lot of that be found in your marketing materials? Make sure on your site or within your materials, there's some FAQs, some things that they can learn about you. Should they ask a specific question, here is the answer. And if you are not a public speaker, a person who just feels comfortable in speaking on the phone or speaking in person or speaking in video, have mock consultations with your team or with your family members or with your friends to build confidence. Do I still sweat after every consultation? Yeah, I do. Am I sweating now? Sure am. But because I practice and I practice time and time again, I can pretend and make it look easy. So consultations, practicing them builds confidence. And that is what our potential clients are looking for. They are looking for confident professionals, confident creativepreneurs, confident planners in this industry that can bring their vision to life. Success is in the details. And the first detail is showing clients that they've been heard. Remember, we got two of these for a reason. And so I will end here for any questions and answers, but I also have a QR code up here. I have 3 must-have email templates for client communications, 3 email templates. They're free to you. This will help you along the process as you begin to build out or possibly even restructure your discovery and your consultation phase. So feel free to go ahead and grab that, and I will pass it over to Shelby if there are any questions or anything that I need to answer because I can't see anything because I'm inside of the presentation. But hey, this is the time. I will say this. This is the time where I like questions. Now, during the consultation, I don't want questions. But if you have questions now, feel free to ask them.
Desireé, thank you. That
You're
was
welcome.
excellent. I really appreciate that. I only have one question that I see in the chat,
Okay.
and it's from Brenda. And Brenda is new, so she says she doesn't really know any of this about her business and how does she figure it out. And I'm going to let you start with that, but we only have a real short time because I
Yeah.
have to end at one. So you can kind of steer her in the right direction.
So Brenda, I will answer this as quick as possible, but feel free to send me an email. It's gonna probably take a little longer. I will say, how do you learn this about yourself? For one, you have to ask yourself, why did you start this business? Why are you doing this? What interests you about wedding planning or event planning? And then from there, figure out what types of couples you want to work with. And what I mean by that is not always just has to be budget related, but what are the types of couples that you want to work with based on your aesthetic? Do you like couples that like vintage weddings or couples that like beach weddings? Or do you want to be a destination wedding planner? Or do you like luxe and luxury? Like, what is that interests you so that you can start to build from there? That is a very heavy question. I would love to have more conversation with you about it, but that's a quick of it right now that I can share. So that as you discover and learn more about yourself and why you created this business, that is when you're going to be able to dive in and really put your collections, put your information together. And I challenge you, Brenda, still go out there and look at those questions that couples are going to be asking you to see what you can answer right now. And then that will also help you learn what you do need to learn about yourself and answer in the future.
Well, gosh, that was great. That was a good answer for such a big question. Desiree, there's lots of thank yous in there, great info, enjoyed what you were doing, and just so I can keep everybody and on time and let you get, for those of you who have to get back to work because this is your lunch hour, I'm going to end the webinar here. And I'm just going to say again, thank you. I've been waiting for you to come and do this. I've been waiting for you to share your expertise with our members. And so I'm just going to say thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you all. I look forward to seeing you at conference. Yay! All of those good things. Thank you
All
all.
right, everyone.